Alrighty, so today was a big day for Sony with the unveiling of the PlayStation 5 Pro. We got a 9-minute presentation coming to us from good old Mark Cerny himself to show us the future of PlayStation 5 with a new Pro system. We got information on the system itself, we got a release date, we got a price point. And honestly, I feel like this is one of those videos that is going to be kind of controversial for some people with my opinion on this, and that's cool. Like I always say, you don't have to agree with me on everything. I'm not going to block you. I encourage people to disagree with me on things because my word is not the be-all, end-all with this. It's just my opinion on a subject. But I feel like my opinion on this subject may be a little bit different than some other people's opinions. So let's get into what we learned about the PlayStation 5 Pro and how I really feel about it. So to kick off this presentation, it was 9 minutes long. We get Mark Cerny, who looks a lot like Dana Carvey, you know, turtle. I don't know, man. And that wasn't even a Master of Disguise. That wasn't a very good movie. But we basically start this off with talking about the PlayStation 5 system, kind of how they came to make it and stuff like that. And like, you know, that's cool, man. I feel like we're kind of just wasting a little bit of time here. I would like to see the system that you're talking about today, the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't need a reminder of what the PlayStation 5 brings to the table. And then it was time to talk about the PS5 Pro. So they're using sort of a marketing thing with this, with like the 3 pillars of how things are going to be better with this system. The system does have a larger GPU and RAM for faster rendering of things. The system features advanced ray tracing and AI-driven upscaling. And, you know, for a lot of people, this is kind of a thing where it's like, well, okay, you know, you could say these things, but unless you actually show them, like, you know, they're not very impressive. But of course, they did show how these 3 things are going to be working essentially in unison to make the PlayStation 5 Pro the system that it is going to be. And they showed lots of examples as well. And really, the main thing to take away from what the PlayStation 5 Pro is, at least for me, from my perspective, was the fact that when you play a lot of PlayStation 5 games, or really next generation games in general, there are usually 2 different settings that you have access to. You, of course, have access to a graphics mode, and you have access to a fidelity, or a graphics mode and a performance mode. So the graphics mode is like the fidelity mode, basically prioritizing things like graphics and ray tracing at the cost of things like frame rate. So you might get better visuals and better ray tracing, but usually it's a game that's running at 30 frames per second. Whereas the performance mode does take a little bit of a hit in the graphics department, but you are getting a smoother experience at 60 frames per second. And something that they really drove home with this was the fact that you're going to get fidelity mode-ish graphics at 60 frames per second now. And they showed off a bunch of different examples of things like this with games like Ratchet and Clank, A Rift Apart, where playing in performance mode, there were some blurry things in the background and now they're clear. The Last of Us Part 2 also got a bump in the sharpness of things when you're playing the game as opposed to when you would be playing it in performance mode, but you still get that kind of performance mode like frame rate with it. And like, I guess it's kind of cool, you know. It's the one thing that I was noticing with a lot of this is, and obviously it's going to be hard to translate when it's a YouTube video, because YouTube videos, I mean, they're compressed and stuff like that. Like, what are you going to do about it? You know, we're still coming a bit of a ways when it comes to video streaming, especially like this. But, you know, when it's side by side, like, okay, you can notice something. But they did this long trailer at the end of this presentation to showcase many different games sort of, you know, running on the PlayStation 5 Pro. And it really just looked a lot like everything that we've seen from the PlayStation 5, because these are highly curated trailers that you see from a company like Sony with this. You know, these are very highly curated, so they get the right angles. They show you what they want to do. And they, you know, they also showed off some stuff like ray tracing in Gran Turismo on reflections of cars hitting 60 frames per second still, some stuff with Hogwarts Legacy. Like, I think it does look better when you're actually looking for it. But a lot of the things just to me at least, it seemed like you had to go out of your way to kind of see it and kind of notice it. So I'm watching this presentation and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. And then, of course, we learned about the price and the release date. It does come out on November 7th. And holy shit, $700. $700. And, you know, now we're getting into the point of where I'm probably going to upset some people. I'm not feeling this, man. I'm not feeling. And I understand it's for the connoisseur of PlayStation products. It's for the connoisseur who wants the best sort of thing. And I guess if you're trading in your PlayStation 5, you know, it is, you know, you could probably get some decent money from it and take down that price point. But $700 for slightly better frame rates and some additional ray tracing, like a lot of it, yeah, it's for me, you had to go out of your way to notice it. Like the Ratchet and Clank stuff, it was like, oh, look, in the background, this is now sharper. And I'm like, well, I'm not really focused on the background. I'm focused on the game itself. And I understand that this is a system much like the PlayStation 4 Pro. But as a consumer, I never picked up a PlayStation 4 Pro because I really didn't see the need for it. And the PlayStation 4 Pro wasn't as much as this system was. $700 is quite an investment. This is the most expensive video game console ever to play games on a system that already plays those games. Yes, they are, you know, incrementally increased with things like visual fidelity and frame rates if you know, choose to do such. And, you know, I get that. Like that's definitely a cool thing. I just feel like the price point just makes this a little bit ridiculous. You know, if I didn't run a video game channel, I have negative interest in this. Well, what I saw during this presentation did not wow me whatsoever, because you could have all the technology in the world, but I need software to go alongside of that. And, you know, when you basically say, oh, we're combining fidelity mode graphics with performance mode gameplay, like that's cool, but is that $700 cool? I could just turn off, you know, graphics mode and play in performance mode on my PlayStation 5 and get a pretty similar experience. Yeah, it might not be, you know, quite as crisp, but at least I'm saving money. And I could spend that money on video games. You know what I'm saying? $700, you know, that's what I expected this to be. But to actually see that, dude, that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy to see. So, I don't know, man. I don't like this. I was not like wowed by this, and I understand it's just a slight upgrade of a system, but I do feel like it's a slight upgrade of a system that doesn't even necessarily need an upgrade. This isn't a Nintendo Switch situation. The Nintendo Switch has some first party games that dip down to like 25 frames per second. Okay. And there is no option to make it run any better. Like that's just what you're at. Like, you know, Age of Calamity or something like that, you know, or Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in handheld mode. Like disgusting, low resolutions, low frame rates at times. So a system like that could definitely use a boost like that. You know, it could have used a frame rate boost. It could have used a resolution increase. The PlayStation 5, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's nice. But is it $700 nice? Is this going to, you know, usher in a whole new era of people wanting to buy this? Like, obviously, it is the best way to play your PlayStation 5 games, but is it worth it to you when you could buy a PlayStation 5 for $500 and then use that $200 to buy a couple games with it? I guess it really comes down to the consumer, and every consumer is going to be different. Every consumer is going to prioritize certain things and have certain things that they are focused on as far as their gaming experience is concerned. But for me, if I was not a video game channel, I wouldn't buy this. And honestly, if it's hard for me to buy this system, I don't think I'm going to buy it. Like if it's a struggle to buy it, if I have a pain in the ass time to try and get this thing, like I'll just let it pass me by. Like you know, I obviously want to make the video on the system to see what's different about it. But man, that's a lot of damn money. So let me know in the comments section down below. How are you feeling about the PlayStation 5 Pro? Do you feel like I'm missing something with this? Is this something that appeals to you, and if so, let me know, man. Like I said, it's all good. If you disagree with me, it doesn't have to be kumbaya and all sunshine and farts here. There can be some turbulence. I don't mind it. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.